Secrets of the Moreau family. Upon entering the house, Denise, whose parents died under very strange and mysterious circumstances when she wasn't even a year old, according to her adopters, gazed at the immaculately kept house. It was no secret that she was adopted. Her adopters were always answering questions to the best of their ability, even showing her the few photos that came with her file, a few of which had this house in them. Her first sense was the overpowering aroma of fresh paint in the baseboards. The walls were covered in newly painted wallpaper that had hand-embroidered gold intricate patterns. The floor was of an expensive marble like none she'd seen. To her left, a grand staircase led to the heavens. Knock, knock on heaven's doors. Although the stairs were lit by a candle every third step, Denise dared not follow them, for the wax that melted from the candles had the appearance of blood. On closer inspection, Denise actually did smell the unmistakable odor of iron, confirming her suspicion. At first, Denise wanted to believe the iron smell was the candle holders, but on closer inspection, as close as she dared, Denise realized the candle holders were made of brass. A chill caught cold in her spine as she thought she heard a faint echo coming from the other room. Music. Did she hear music? She heard that music before, like a phantom of her past. Ever so quietly, lest she wake the sleeping demon, Denise crept to the foyer. There her eyes beheld a room of magnificent crystal, from chandelier to the designs in the floor. She couldn't quite make the music out. All the same, the far-off flat warble haunted her. A chill crept halfway through her spine and stuck. She forced herself to move across the elegant room, ever so quietly. Tried as she did, Denise couldn't help notice her kids making those squeaking sounds every step she made. Go back. A sweeping voice fled as it seeped through the very fibers of the walls and enveloped Denise's ears. Denise stopped short of the bathroom threshold. Mandy? Squeaked Denise, a cry. The only thing kept her throat wet. Mandy was her older sister who had disappeared last year when walking home from work. The pigs called it an open and shut runaway case. Denise could still remember the fury of her grandparents when they read the headline splashed on the front page of the paper. Those damn sons of bitches thinking every young person that's missing is a runaway. Denise remembered her grandfather spitting at the paper in disgust. No, it couldn't be her. Denise continued a little more hesitantly. If I can't see them, they can't see me. Another step and Denise felt a cold breeze, like a small child's hand whip her around with the strength of an adult. Shakily, Denise shrugged off the chill and proceeded to enter the bathroom. To her surprise, the room was bare. There was no elaborately decorated wallpaper, no expensive marble floor, or no crystal chandelier hanging from the ceiling. Instead, the walls were a peeling, dirty yellowish color. The floor was a dingy, smelly brown, and the ceiling there was covered with millions of flies and maggots that made a splat sound as they fell to the floor. A raggedy, misshapen skylight let in moonlight that Denise knew wasn't there when she got in there. Following the beam of light, Denise's gaze fell on an old four-footed tub In the tub was a person who had thick curly brown hair, a well-defined brow, a strong jaw, and perfect skin except for the ashen look to it. He was holding the sides of the tub with white knuckled hands, and his eyes were open, staring to the heavens, but seeing nothing. Emanating from the tub in the maggot-infested water was the warbled music Denise heard before. Then it clicked. Denise remembered where she'd heard that song before. Timothy Peters, she shouted loud enough for her voice to echo off the walls. She cringed at the hollowness of her voice and the empty room. With that, the spotlight light beam went out, taking the man in the tub and all of the light Denise had to see with. A layer of smoke like fog wafted in from a crack between the wall and the ceiling, covering everything in the bathroom, surging out the door and through the rest of the house. Denise's haste to vacate the bathroom caused her to clip the door jamb with her hip, sending shards of excruciating pain like thousands of bolts ravaging her muscles through the bone. She bit her lip hard enough to bring blood and swallowed a scream hard enough to make her chest hurt like her heart wanted to explode. Then Denise was off again. Through the foyer, Denise ran, looking madly through the gloom for the exits, or those that could be made exits. She looked to her right and saw the ceiling-to-floor windows had become caked with grime, but thought better than just jumping through, lest she slice herself up. Ginsu knives. Ginsu knives had chopped and diced and fricsy. And if you act now, then Denise saw the broken window. Said window looked like it had been blown out by a shotgun or something of that effect. Curious as she was, this was no concern to Denise, for it was there she saw her mother floating face up in the murky water, in the murky pool, with a sputter that sent thick brown yet red slug shooting from her mouth and a squish of old soggy flesh. Denise's mother raised her head and gave Denise a maggot-filled grin. Feeling and smelling the rot of death invade her soul, threatening to tear away any shred of sanity left. Denise practically lunged to make her way to the front door, going through a black widow's web that spanned from door jamb to door jamb of the dilapidated French door entranceway. Grasping the front door with both hands in a tug-of-war fashion, Denise heard a squish, crack, pop as the doorknob came out of the mildewed wood in her hands, causing her to stumble and fall to the floor, further irritating the stitch in her hip and thigh. Up against the audible pops emanating from her hip, no longer able to run, Denise felt her way along the crumbling stucco wall. Gingerly she stepped so she wouldn't do any more damage to herself, and so she didn't hear the creaking, popping sounds her body was emitting. With the support of the wall, Denise made her way to what she believed to be the way out. It was for naught. In what she thought was a study, Denise encountered more books in various stages of decay than she'd seen in her life. From ceiling to floor, wall to wall, nothing but books. There were 3 tables in the room with 4 chairs at each table. The first set on the left, the second in the middle, and the last on the right. From the ceiling hung huge spider webs like stalactites. Carefully, Denise crept across the floor, noticing for the first time since the house's transformation. Did I actually see that the floor was now old creaky wood paneling? Man, I'm tired. The floorboards creaked in agreement. Going past one of the stalactite-like webs, Denise could make out 8 beating, blood-red eyes of the creature to her left. Though there wasn't any light coming from the room. Denise distinctly saw their eyes. They followed her movement within the room. She knew she should have gotten the hell out of Dodge, but she was too exhausted. At the table, Denise sat down, falling into a deep slumber. Denise, a year ago, her parents are alive. Mandy's alive. The whole family's happy. They're at the hospital for some reason. The room suddenly goes black, and there's the ring of a grandfather clock screaming in Denise's ears. The lights come back, and Denise is alone. Then the lights go off again, this time for good. Denise feels her way to the door. Darkness in the halls, and the coldness is all around, nipping at her like piranha. She makes it to the elevator. Leaning back against the wall, Denise's hands brush a sheet with an ominous feeling. She knows that shape. The elevator door opens and Denise shuffles out. There's light at the end of the hall. Denise walks towards the light. But wait. She hears a squeak of wheels like the grocery cart Mom pushes. But those wheels sound different, mean. Denise walks a little faster, and the sound of the wheels get higher pitched and faster. It's so dark in here, and the light seems farther away. Denise breaks out in an all-out run, like a bat out of hell. All the while, the sound of the wheels behind her squeaks higher and rolls faster. Finally, at the doors, Denise hurries to get out of the way of whatever's chasing her. Nothing. There's no crash. A man in a suit comes out, preceding a gurney with a covered figure on it. Bringing up the rear is yet another man in a suit. They say nothing to Denise. The men load the body into their hearse and speed off, but not before the driver turns to give Denise a wickedly cruel smile with pasty white lips. Denise never sees her parents or sister again. Well, what the started Denise. On slowly putty legs, Denise rose, wincing as the chair's feet scraped and screeched across the linoleum floor. Wasn't that just wood? Denise thought, stifling another scream. Panning around the study, Denise noticed that stalactite webs were no longer where she thought they were. In their place were 2x4 skylights. In place, the rotting books were newly bought books with gold lines. In the shelves, Denise saw titles such as Wuthering Heights, War and Peace, and Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind. I haven't read this. Reaching for the huge hardbound book, Denise's eyes stumbled to the book just right of Gone with the Wind, but seemed set aside from the rest of the collection. The Moreau family diary was embroidered on the binding in ruby-like material. Moreau, that's my name. Choosing the mysterious book with a pentagram cross-like emblem on it, Denise heard in her ears, read it. Forgetting about the phantom voice that sounded like her sister, Denise dropped the book, breaking the lock. Light flew from the opening pages, and again, that haunted voice, read it. Dear Diary. Crack. The floorboard again gave way and slipped from beneath Denise's feet, leaving her to fall into the blackness. The birds chirp as they gleefully pass the newly painted Victorian mansion. The marbles are well polished and reflects the sun perfectly. 2 lights are on upstairs. The one on the right side of the front of the house goes out, and a deep wicked giggle can be heard. Hey YouTube fam, that was the first story in my book, the Moreau Family Diary. If you liked it, check it out on Amazon and tell me what you thought. and maybe I'll read more to you later. It's got one other story and then 2 novels to bring the whole story together. Alright, guys, be good to each other, and we love you. And, of course, check you later.